Alright guys, welcome back to Formula 1 news. With Mercedes preparing their car for 2023, they've revealed there's plenty more lap times still on the table in terms of weight reduction. They haven't been able to do everything they wanted this season due to the budget cap, but over the winter, they're going to get some free lap time unlocked going into next season. Very much interested your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. A couple of days ago now, the Las Vegas Grand Prix launch party thing was going on in none other than Las Vegas itself. I think Hamilton, Russell and Perez were there and they were doing donuts on the strip. Pretty cool stuff. One thing to note here that lots of people were talking about was this kind of underfloor lighting on the cars. You guys can see here the blue LEDs looked really cool and menacing, and this is something that would look epic in an actual race situation, I'm sure. Now, whether the teams want to have an LED strip under their car for weight reduction and this type of stuff, it could fall off and cause a disaster. Probably not going to do it, but still, people were talking about it, so I thought I would mention it regardless. But yeah, the Las Vegas Grand Prix, of course, like, it's going to be a spectacle, there's no doubt. The tickets are crazy expensive for next year. I believe it's the double header at the end of next season. It goes straight from Las Vegas for the penultimate Grand Prix to Abu Dhabi for the finale. So there is a world in which the championship is decided in Las Vegas. So yeah, they're obviously putting all the money and the resources in. They were having a good time here. Hamilton and the other drivers as well, but that's been launched. The track might not be great, but it's going to be a spectacle, and that's what Formula 1 is all about at the end of the day, at the moment at least, under the new ownership over the last couple of years. The Abu Dhabi Grand Prix will be the final race for Sebastian Vettel's career. He's mentioned that he can't rule out a return, but more than likely that will be it for him. Now, this is his helmet that he's going to run with for the final race of his entire career, the final lap, he says, and you can actually bid to get your picture, whatever picture you want it to be, on his helmet. Kind of funny because all of these profits go to environmental projects, but it's still got Aramco plastered over it, which is, you know, I guess it is what it is. But yeah, this is the website here. I thought that someone might have bid 1 billion euros for one of these, but apparently when I go on the website, that's not the case. You can see here, these are the kind of lowest bids. So there's plenty of pictures available for just 50 euros, and you can slap your picture on there. These are some of the highest bids. Don't really understand why they're different, but for example, this one you'll see in a second at 58,000 euros. Well, now it's 88,000 euros for the top one. Since I refreshed it, went up a little bit further. So yeah, kind of crazy stuff, but that's one thing that Vettel's doing for his final race of his career. And speaking of other veteran drivers, it's expected that Nico Hülkenberg will return to the Haas seat for next season. We believe they're going to announce this on Thursday. We think the deal has been done, and rumours are circulating that that will be the case. And even Kevin Magnussen has been asked questions about Nico Hülkenberg, and yeah, they haven't always got on in the past. They've had, you know, some sort of, you know, there's been some controversies between the two of them. If you guys Google it, you'll probably find a couple of decent examples. And as he says, I actually respect him as a racing driver. I don't really know him as a person, but certainly as a racing driver, I've always respected him, so I would have no problem effectively being his teammate for next year. They asked Gasly, or they asked Ocon, a similar question when that was about to happen as well, so more than likely this is going to be the case. We don't think Mick Schumacher anymore is going to be in for that seat. He might well have to wait another couple of years. Let's talk Mercedes then on the Brazilian Grand Prix. Exciting times ahead. It's race week yet again. It's actually a sprint race week this week also, but Jenson Button feels like, and I think understandably so, the chance now for a race win for Mercedes might have gone away. Mexico was probably where their car was operating the best. They don't have tracks that suit them quite as well from now to the end of the season. The Red Bull is probably too strong. They're going to need, you know, a good bit of luck and some crazy circumstances. Red Bull have won the last, I mean, what is it, 8-9 races in a row or something. It's not looking so good for some of the other competition. Ferrari are nowhere right now. They could get back in the mix, and qualifying will of course be crucial as well. But in fairness, there's a sprint race, so that of course could shake up the order to some degree. Now, there's been lots of drama about sprint races really, because next year the rumour is they're going to do 6 of them instead of 3. Not sure that's been officially confirmed yet, but these are Verstappen's words on sprint races in general. Every time I do these races, it's about don't get damaged, make sure you stay in the top 3. For me, that's not really a race, and he said that, like, look, he'd prefer just to have one race on the weekends. Sprint races do cause a lot of controversy. Some fans like them, maybe some of the newer fans enjoy the extra day of something else going on, but I think, you know, I think it's frustrating in a way, because often qualifying, let's say there's rain or something, and qualifying is dramatic and messed up, and the order is out of order. Let's just say you go to the sprint race, and then the cars that are out of order just, you know, get through, and the grid ends up where it would have been kind of anyway. So any weird situations get nullified by sprint races often. And also, the drivers never want to take much risk. If you have an issue in a sprint race, like your race is done for on Sunday, you have to at 100% cost really stay out of trouble, and that often can just nullify any enjoyment factor from the race. So I don't know, I think Verstappen's bang on the money here, to be honest. If we get 3 next year, it's whatever to me. If we get 6 next year, it's like, damn, are they just going to be taken over? Now, Mercedes, they've been improving. Their car's been been getting much better the last few races, and they've been taking some weight out of their car. That was the key advantage we believe that Alfa Romeo had at the start of the season. Their car was pretty much right on the weight limit. They did great in the first few races and then fell off massively as other cars got better and other cars reduced the weight of their car. Red Bull was significantly overweight at the start. They aggressively reduced their weight as the season went on. You guys remember back in Barcelona where the DRS flap wasn't opening, they said that they tried to take too much weight out of the car and out of that kind of DRS flap actuator, and that caused them some issues. So the teams really tried hard. Ferrari as well, we believe, had a car that was pretty similar to the 798 kilograms weight limit as well. Mercedes, we've always believed, has been somewhat over, even though we haven't really had the official numbers on where their weight might stand. But every few kilograms you take out, that can be a good 10th of a second per lap, if not more, and it's effectively a free 10th of a second. If you just put parts in that do the same thing, but are, well, way less, then you just make your car weighs less, therefore you gain time because, you know, force equals mass times acceleration, that type of stuff. So you get more acceleration for the same force, classic Newton's second law type stuff. But with the budget cap in effect and all these other things, it's not so easy for the teams just to go all outright in making the car as light as possible. They have to balance their resources and aerodynamic development rather than just creating parts that are way less than the other ones. So as Mike Elliott says here, Mercedes' focus was on eradicating the aero problems. They get rid of the aero issues and the weight is kind of the next step which they're going to address for the winter, as he says here. That's why we didn't take special care of the weight this year. We saved that for the winter. Also going on to say that they didn't really get rid of the high drag levels during the season. Unfortunately, due to the budget cap, Toto Wolff says, we were not able to constantly produce new parts or look for new solutions in the wind tunnel. So drag reduction is also a project for next year. So stating that the weight reduction and the drag reduction is effectively a problem for next season that they're now solving and think they know what they're doing with it. So it's kind of interesting to me because obviously Red Bull have stopped upgrading their car the last few races. Mercedes were in Mexico pretty much on the same pace, but, you know, I think probably Verstappen had more in hand if he was required to deploy it to defend or attack or whatever. The situation could have been at the end of the race. So Mercedes are getting closer though, and that's pretty much in aero development. They've eradicated most of the aero problems their car had early on, the bouncing and the like, but still the high drag levels, the weight of the car is not in an ideal spot, and therefore those are issues they're going to take care with this winter, and therefore you'd imagine they can unlock some free lap time, especially compared to Ferrari, maybe, or even Red Bull, that don't have really these drag issues and also don't have the weight issues so much, certainly in Ferrari's case, to the best of our understanding. One thing then that could make this weekend's Grand Prix actually exciting though is the potential of thunderstorms and rain this entire weekend. Rain is expected as it stands in pretty much all sessions this weekend, certainly in some of them. And of course, Friday is qualifying, right? You do one practice session, you do qualifying on Friday, you do a second practice session before the sprint race, then you do the sprint race, and then Sunday is the Grand Prix itself. So it's pretty difficult, especially if you've got one practice session to set up your car. If you get it wrong, you're straight into quali, and that's Parc Fermé regulations locked for the weekends. So that is the thing. The teams have to be really on the ball in P1, in free practice 1, and if the conditions there are tricky, different to what it'll be in the sprint race and the race, the teams will have to kind of guess what their setup will be, which makes things more difficult and also means that teams that should be good might mess up massively and cause themselves some serious problems come to the race. That's how these things can go, because Red Bull, even the last couple of Grand Prix, it's felt like Friday practice, FP1, FP2, they haven't been fully on top of things, and then by FP3, Saturday, they tweak a few things, work it out, and they've got a great car again. But maybe if they make similar mistakes on Friday here, that could come back to bite them, especially because the conditions are going to be tricky. This is what Google tells me on it's pretty much the same. If I look Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you see a pretty similar graph here as it stands, with precipitation very likely during the majority of the day. This is Saturday, right? So during the sprint race, there's meant to be rain. I don't think it's meant to be incredibly heavy, but we do see thunderstorms are possible. So yeah, this would be pretty immense if we do have a weekend of, look, hopefully, let's see what the FIA do about it, right? Whether they even let the guys race in the rain and whether they do what we've had before. But still, it does open more possibilities. If there is rain a lot of the time this weekend, we're going to have a very interesting qualifying. The sprint race is going to be exciting because it's not just going to be a procession. More than likely, there will be, you know, more drama going on when it is wet and drying up and potential tire changes, because the sprint, you never get any pit stops. So, you know, the strategy is not existent in sprint races. So that could be good. And then if the race as well is also wet, as it probably will be, I think the Sunday says it's kind of increasing in precipitation level as the day goes on. That could be exciting as well. And one positive thing that Mercedes could potentially take away from that is the fact that their car works better under higher downforce conditions. And usually in the rain, you want to up your downforce a bit, right? Because, you know, you've got less grip on the tires. Therefore, you want to try and create more grip from an aerodynamic perspective. So a wet setup usually implies a bit more downforce on the car, where Mercedes are generally at their best. Now, at the same time, even if you do that, if you've got more downforce, doesn't mean you can make an overtake. That's what kind of held them back in Suzuka. Hamilton was stuck behind Ocon, had so much more pace than Ocon, but just couldn't get past him because he didn't have the straight line speeds. And, Brazil is a circuit where that also might hold him up if a similar situation was to arise. So there's pros and cons of the different situations, but it could be a weekend that is definitely, hopefully, as exciting at least, because Abu Dhabi sometimes isn't, but last year certainly had its fair share of drama. But very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.